Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Championship Checking Podcast with myself, Benjamin Bloom, and the great Sam Parkin. The day after the transfer window slammed shut, Sam. So we're just going to talk about some of our favourite deals in the January window. I want to start with the top four and the title race and the automatic promotion race, because there seems to be a marked difference in what all the teams have done and really what all the teams have had to do. Talk to me about Leeds and Sunderland first, because Leeds haven't had to do anything. And I think when you win 7-0 the game before the window closes and your players are back fit, it kind of stinks of stability. Sunderland, you've been across Isidore for a while, so I suspect you're pleased they've done that. And Enzo Lefebvre looks like a player, doesn't he? Talk to me about Leeds and Sunderland January window. Good morning, by the way, mate.
Morning, mate. Yeah. I think still when there's a transfer window in the middle of the season, despite, Leeds' lofty position, still a little bit surprised this morning they haven't done one or two bits of business. But yeah, they've obviously got one of the strongest squads in the division. So Daniel Farker will know better than me the nick of the squad, how the depth's looking. And obviously, in the aftermath of that win, maybe didn't see the necessity, but still a little bit surprised. That would be my overriding feeling. I think you've missed out possibly the signing of the window in Jayden Danns going to Sunderland.
I beg your pardon. Go on.
Late in the day. Yeah, I mean, I think it looked like Hull were the front runners in that pursuit over the last 48, 72 hours. And yeah, having had a little bit of an indifferent time in terms of their central striker and not having Liam Delap as they had last year, I think he'd have been almost the missing piece in the whole jigsaw. And apologies if they have brought in a striker. They've brought in a plethora of players, Hull, but the majority from overseas. Obviously, Louis Barry will be a big goal threat for them, but I think to get Jayden Danns would have really given them a good opportunity to have a great end to the season. And anyway, it's Sunderland's gain. And I think likewise for them to have the quality, which I think has been called for in reserve to Isidore. Isidore's had a brilliant couple of weeks. So the narrative's changed a little bit towards him, rightly so, because he's been terrific.
That was great last night, him hoisting up the flag and after seeing him apologising in front of the away fans after missing the 2 pens.
I didn't even think of that last night, but yeah, of course, it's been a up and down couple of weeks for him. But I suppose getting a young player with Dan's quality, they've shown they can play with the two up as well successfully. It's normally been Mayenda and Isidore, a combination of the two, maybe one dropping in to a degree. But I think he could play Dan's. I think Dan's he's not as sprightly probably on the shoulder as Isidore. So that combination might work. So I think that's a really good get. Lefebvre's obviously been terrific, shown some incredible moments.
Can I just say, Sam, a couple of times last night, his touches, I thought of Buendia for Norwich. I know he's like a kind of championship goat, but he looks a real player. I think soon he's going to score a silly goal as well, where he'll nutmeg someone, spin it and slam it in the top corner. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I saw a little clip of his nutmeg last night. I think it was a little flick from someone's legs.
Filth.
Yeah, I was at Chelsea last night, so apologies. I've not seen that game in its entirety. But yeah, he looks like a brilliant signing. So I think for Sunderland, they've strengthened in the areas they needed to strengthen, I think. So, yeah, really exciting. And I suppose further optimism that they can stay the course of time now with those additions.
Right. I want you to compare and contrast Sheffield United to when Bournemouth went a bit crazy in 21-22 in January. And I want you to tell me, is this all a calculated gamble, or is this just throw your chips in, get promoted? Cannon, Caceres, and Muchukwu, Brereton Diaz, Chowdhury, Clark, and Holding all in. I mean, can you talk from a player's point of view about, does it just give the whole dressing room when all of these new faces come, just give a big, like, first day back at school vibe? And what's your thoughts on this strategy of bringing in so many players in January?
Well, they've given themselves a much better opportunity of getting promoted, I would say, because they've gone for vast championship experience, really good professionals. Clark and Holding come in a problem area for them where they've not got great depth. Obviously, lost Suter. And those guys are pretty sure things, I think, at championship levels. Chowdhury as well is really versatile. He could plug a gap probably at fullback, but also in midfield. So no, they've been aggressive.
Lots of players, Sam, who got promoted last season as well.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, they've been aggressive. They've gone for sure things, really. So I think they've put themselves in a great position. So yeah, I can see that comparison that you make. Burnley. Yeah, some excitement, I suppose. Definitely in the terms of Marcus Edwards, who Scott Parker obviously worked with at Tottenham. I think I read that he's the highest scoring Brit or Englishman in the Portuguese league. So, he's gone over there and he cost a vast sum, didn't he, when he moved? I think, did he go to Sporting?
Sporting Club de Portugal, it says on my screen.
Yeah, so, he fetched a very hefty transfer fee as well. So someone that was, incredibly highly thought of as a young player. And we're going to get the opportunity to see him in the second tier, which is, again, mouthwatering for us. And also, hopefully, for an entertainment perspective, possibly going to get people being too disparaging about Burnley, and maybe we can have a little bit of excitement at Turf Moor to go along with the clean sheets and the results.
There you go. Get your thoughts in on the top four's transfer business. It's so easy, Sam, to get sucked in when a player hasn't kicked a ball. Every transfer looks great, doesn't it? And it all makes sense. But you can kind of make arguments that all four clubs have sort of done what they need to. So let us know in the comment.
Yeah, and I think we could make a strong argument. I was quite amused last night driving back from Chelsea, and I heard Darren McAntony on with a couple of the guys on TalkSport, and he was being incredibly disparaging about the excitement levels in the Premier League. Rightly so, I hasten to add. I don't think there was a great deal to get excited about in terms of the top flight, but the Championship, I mean, look, yesterday in itself was some brilliant moves. And I think across the course of the last couple of weeks, if you think of like Cannon's move in terms of the price, the magnitude of the price, and then something like Matt Grimes, I mean, that really, I think, captured the imagination. Swansea's talismanic captain for many a year, moving to a Championship rival. That was another one to kind of make you stand up and take notice of the second tier. So I think it's been a brilliant window, and I'm waffling. Let's get on and pick out a few more that have taken our eye.
Yeah, and just as you were speaking, Sam, I was thinking the more significant date for the Premier League is now June the 30th rather than January the 31st, isn't it? Where everyone's shifting those last-minute FFP money deals. So that may be the reason why everything goes ahead. Right, get in the comments for us about the top four. Let us know if you're a fan of those teams and who's done kind of the best thing, because we think they've probably all kind of done the right thing. Now, Sam and I, the professionals we are, have not conferred on this. We just kind of text one another and said, shall we each pick out a couple of signings? So can I start off? I mean, you may have picked Louis Barry, Sam, but can I pick out Louis Barry? Because he was in the Aston Villa kind of youth setup, and he was the guy in there that was the highest rated. I remember, I think they played against Liverpool, possibly. I think it might have been when Liverpool had two teams playing on the same day apart in the World Club Cup or something, and played well. He was actually on loan at Ipswich, got lost in the shuffle there. He's been an absolute baller for Stockport this season, hasn't he? Just keeps whipping one in the top corner every game, pretty much. Never mind for Hull, but I just think for Louis Barry now, it's right. Here you go now. You're in a good spot. We saw Jadon Philogene in that spot last season, and he got himself a big move. Loaned from the same club even as well. So, well, no, he was permanent. But you accept the point I'm making. I've gone for Louis Barry as one of my most exciting there. Anything to say on Barry, and who do you want to pick out?
I think Swindon had him on loan as well, way back when. And I was catching up or re-watching some of the Class of '92 Salford documentaries the other week, episodes. And he popped up in that because obviously they
as well, was he?
Signed him on loan. I think that's where he's probably got his confidence from. and found a little bit of rhythm. He had a brilliant end to, was it last season or maybe the previous one? He had a brilliant end to the campaign in a real quick, aggressive front line at Salford. Had real pace about it, and he was a big part of that. And obviously he's gone on to have a really consistent period at Stockport as well. So he goes there full of confidence. I think it's a credit to probably the
Do you think
quality.
he's ready for Championship now?
Yeah, I would say so. And I think, it's a credit to Ruben Sellers that, quickly people are giving him top quality players and giving him the trust. The pitch is a bit of a problem at Hull, isn't it? That's something that's come up a few times when I've been discussing Championship and games at their home in the last few weeks and months. So that's a little bit problematic. But yeah, I think on the face of it, maybe striker apart, it's been a pretty good January for Hull, and they should have put themselves in a position to pull themselves away from possible danger. So I'd be optimistic if I was a supporter of them. But yeah, really talented young player. Looked like everyone pretty much was in for him. So to kind of mirror what happened at the end of last season, they've gone and got one of the best, most exciting attacking players, loanees possible in the division, especially with Miller and Balumi. I think they're the two that are out long term. So it's an area of the pitch that definitely needed strengthened.
Do you want to keep rolling, mate? Do you want to pick out a transfer you like?
Oh, where shall I go? Let's go for the Blackburn double swoop for Emmanuel Dennis and Cauley Woodrow. I don't think the goal scoring potential of Emmanuel Dennis has ever possibly been in doubt. It's I don't know. It's been a bad move for him, hasn't it, to Forest? For whatever reason, he's not been able to get game time. So I think it's an area of the pitch, despite Gay's recent performances have been really promising and starting to get goals. I think he hit the post for the one that Vyman turned in recently. But he's looking a better all-round player, contributing loads. But I think to add those two is definitely an area of the pitch they needed to strengthen. I've always been a big fan of Woodrow. Again, a move that's just not worked out to Luton. I've always thought of him as a real technically efficient front player who can play as a 10, can play as a 9. Obviously had great success up at Barnsley. So he's lived up in the north before and really prospered. Probably undervaluing Ishmael, maybe that season that jumps out to me. A scorer of great goals and not scoring many goals at the moment. It must be said, I'm not even sure if he got one at Kenilworth Road. He must have done. But yeah, he needs to get back going. And I just think for John Eustace, that was clearly an area of the pitch that at the start of the season, we were quite optimistic that Ahashi and Gay could fill the void left by Smodics and Brereton Diaz before him. So yeah, definitely two experienced guys that, could be the difference between them, making the playoffs.
And we're talking about this wide open door week after week in the playoffs. Middlesbrough last night, when they were on a point, and by the way, we'll talk about your prediction going south in the last minute of that one, because you had 2-2 on that one, didn't you? They were going to move up a couple of... Don't worry, it ends well for you in the predictions. Don't worry.
Oh, does it?
That.
Lovely. That's the first time I've heard that. Tremendous.
Yeah. But what I was going to say was a point would have taken them to 5th. But to talk about Middlesbrough, I think we've got to talk about Morgan Whittaker, Sam. And in January, you want ready to go Championship players that know the division, know the level. Whittaker in there with... You've spoken about the potential of a Doak, Finazaz, Whittaker off, Kelechi Iheanacho, who was announced last night. I think Latte Lath going out. Did that get done in the end? I'll check transfer.
I did read something on The Athletic this morning that suggested it was going to be done. So I'd probably take that as gospel that he's not going to be around. Yeah.
But it's unfair when you don't know the guy. But I think there's some sense with Morgan Whittaker now that he needs to really settle at Middlesbrough and deliver. I think there's no doubt about the talent, but fairly or unfairly, characterised somewhat as a malcontent, and the way that not playing for Plymouth was also shot. So, what are your thoughts on the Whittaker deal? Because it could be a brilliant one if it goes as well as we think it might.
Yeah, he's not had a good season. I think people that watch him every week at Argyle would probably concur with that. That's absolutely been my kind of my overriding feeling, having watched him probably 4 or 5 times in the flesh. I don't think he's been anywhere near at the level of last year, and that's not just goals I'm talking about. That's his all-round game. He's looked a little bit disinterested at times. He's been on the periphery of games. I think early part of the season he was still finding a way to come up with big moments and capable of that to get them points. But yeah, too often he was a bit of a passenger away from home, and I don't think you're going to get away with that at a club that have got different aspirations in the Championship. In the main, they want to get promoted this year, I'm sure, Middlesbrough. So he's going to have to be more consistent. Where he plays is actually really interesting because he operates clearly best off the right-hand side, coming in on his left foot, which is Doak's position. The opposite flank has been Bergzog more recently.
He finished the game down the left yesterday.
Did he? And
didn't look that comfortable, to be honest.
Yeah, well, and obviously you've got you've had this kind of system where you've had Riley McGree playing wide on the left and tucking in, and they quite like that kind of shape, making obviously probably like a kind of box midfield with 210. So he could do that. I wouldn't see him as natural as McGree at doing that because he's like terrier-like, isn't he? He's all action. He's more languid, isn't he, Whittaker, and likes to come and get shots away. So where he fits in, I'm not entirely sure. Iheanacho, I really like. I think he got a little bit of a raw deal last year at Leicester, probably more so from Maresca, like underused. I think he preferred that central one to have the pace in behind, a la Vardy or Daka. I think they had Tom Cannon there as well.
Never used. I was going to say never used Cannon either, did he?
Yeah, I don't know if I've not seen enough of Cannon, to really have a strong opinion on him. He must not offer too much, maybe in open play in his all round game. Sorry,
right, yeah.
Maybe he's just a pure finisher, which the statistics this season would suggest. But he's one of those that gets so much attention and attracts so much interest from clubs because he probably is going to be and continue to be a great goal scorer. So yeah, I just thought Iheanacho, when I saw him at Leicester last year, I think his hold-up play is very, very good. I think he's very clever. He makes good movement, takes it into feet, can get the team up the pitch. Maybe just his goal scoring has not been as prominent as it was earlier on in his career. But good signing. They would have loved probably to get maybe another one or someone with a better recent goal scoring record. So I suppose Tommy Conway could come to prominence in the second half of the season. I'm not sure Iheanacho is the man to kind of fire them the goals to promotion, but certainly an excellent squad player, which I'd be excited about if I was a Borough fan.
Right, we'll round this out, Sam. I think these are both transfer records, but everything's undisclosed. And as I always say about transfer fees, if I don't know, then you probably don't know either. And yeah, if you're in the room and you've seen the deal memorandum, then you can correct me. But we think that Camiel Negley, who is a winger who's gone from Sparta Rotterdam into Millwall, is a transfer record. And we also think that Maxim, here we go, Sam, Taloviev, Taloviev, I can't. If anyone wants to do a pronunciation, I must be able to do
I can't help it because it's the first time I'm hearing this.
Taloviev of Plymouth, who I think is a big strapping centre-half. He's come in from Lask as well. But do you want to speak more generally, Sam, about, because we've seen when FFPs come in, the days of just every club in the Championship spending $1 million, $2 million on a player, it's got less and less and less. And it does look like a lot of players, or a lot of clubs rather, kind of dropping 2, 3, 4 million euros on players from Europe. And I mean, to talk about Millwall specifically, we've said they've needed to kind of up the business game. And I think Ivanovic as well, earlier in the season was a nice fee. So what are your thoughts on maybe those two to finish?
Yeah, I think just the change in landscape, changing marketplace. I think Argyle, their recruitment's really interesting. The way they've gone about it the last couple of years, obviously scouring Europe for signings. Millwall, similarly, I think a completely different model, maybe to what we've been familiar with over so long a period. That and the want to blood younger players at Millwall, that is absolutely evident. You know, you've got to be talking about one of the oldest average aging squads probably over the last couple of seasons in the Championship there. A squad that badly needed refreshed. And
maybe
they're getting
trying
that.
to repeat the Zian Fleming trick
Of course.
as well, yeah.
Yeah, I think it was 2.8 million they played for Ivanovic, and this surpasses that for Camille Negley, who, by all accounts, is a left-footed right winger or number 10. But yeah, another one that should be really exciting when you consider, you know, how good Ivanovic has been in the last few games. So yeah, I just think interesting and probably sums of money that you would probably have to times by 2 or 3 if you were plucking the same caliber of player from the Premier League or from even the Championship. So it's a route a lot of teams are going to go down, and with Millwall, fascinating because it's a completely new model there. How will it end up? What will it look like? What's the football going to look like at the moment? Now, Alex Neil has continued in the same vein, I would say, as the previous managers, but it fit in terms of the style, but it feels like he's going to have, you know, a better caliber of player to play with. So, yeah, exciting times at the Den.
Last one, Sam, I absolutely promise. We've mentioned Grimes a few times on the show before, going Swansea to Coventry. Swansea they've signed a lad from Europe, but loaned him straight back to Denmark for the rest of the season.
I saw that, yeah.
But I think Lewis O'Brien, I know he's not like a playmaker like Grimes, he's more of a box-to-box, but took Huddersfield to the playoff final a few seasons ago. I think to fill that gap for now, I like that signing.
Yeah, a player I've always liked, and I remember there was strong links to Leeds a couple of years ago, maybe longer now, where he was one of the standout players in the Championship, and it's just maybe 1 or 2 wrong moves for him, and he's disappointed over the last couple of years because I thought he was in a really good position, bit of everything. He can handle the ball, but you're right, he's more about dynamic movement, isn't he, and getting around the pitch. So. Yeah, it's a decent signing. You do worry for Swansea, though, don't you? You know how much of an effect losing Grimes is going to have, and I think there's deeper problems there than them not maybe signing a few more during the window. But I think they could have done with it, and it's going to be a worrying few weeks there. I think for the supporters. I'm watching them on Sunday at Ashton Gate, which all of a sudden. I think that's a big game for both clubs. You know, I probably
Very
anticipated it falling by the wayside because they played Bristol City played Wolves and Swansea played Southampton, respectively, in the FA Cup. So I envisaged one of them getting through, both knocked out. The game goes ahead on Sunday. Massive chance for Bristol City to probably get themselves into the playoffs with the lack of other games going on this weekend. And for Swansea, they need to arrest what is a pretty alarming slide at the moment. So looking forward to that one. I'll just sign off from the transfer chat with just a nod to Luton. Quite like what they've done.
They've been quite busy, haven't they?
Yeah, my reluctance is, you know, Bowler apart. Naismith obviously is known to them already because he had a year or 2 there and did wonderfully well. If you remember, I think in the middle of a back 3 at times. Yeah. The other chaps, Asgard's been Wigan's best player this season when I've seen them, standout best player, but obviously a little bit untested in the Championship. So again, it's one of those, you know, really good player, cherry picked from the lower level, but is he ready to go straight in and affect things in the Championship? And same for Ali, I think is the pronunciation, from Exeter, who, like Kone from Wickham, has come from nowhere to be scoring goals at a really eye-catching rate. So whether he's going to go in and feature, we'll have to wait and see. I think he's been signed to be straight, you know, around it, but with obviously Morris, Brown and Adebayo, he may not be a obvious starter. But yeah, eye-catching business. But yeah, that's my only My only concern is, they haven't gone and got 4 and 5 bodies to really cement their status in the Championship. They're still buying for, I think, probably the future.
Yeah, very much so. Get in the comments, guys. I hope you understand. We can't mention every signing at every club. So if you're a West Brom fan, want to talk about Tanner Banney, or if you are a Stoke fan, want to talk about Al Hamadi on loan, or Harvey Vale at QPR, Hayden Matthews at Portsmouth, Ole Romane at Oxford, Mate Jurasek at Norwich. These are all names I made a note of that we haven't got across. Let us know your favourite transfer into your club this window. And yeah, smarten us up in the comments. Now, Sam, we're going to do the quiz now from Fev. You're not allowed to look at the league table this week.
All right, mate.
Okay, so you need to have that closed because you'll get all the answers from the league table. So this is from our friend Fev's Football Analytics at Fev's Football. Sam, can you name 3 of the 6 teams with the fewest draws this season? So
3 of the 6 teams with the fewest draws.
Fewest draws. We know the ones who've had the most, don't we?
Well, don't give away your. I'm sure that's going to be yours when I open it.
Is it?
Okay, 3 of 6 with the fewest draws.
Yes.
I'll go straight in with Leeds.
No, strangely,
Really?
that wasn't a bad shout. Yeah.
Fewest draws. It always was Blackburn, wasn't it? Is that in keeping? Blackburn?
Keep going down that route, Sam. Yeah, Blackburn are on the list. They have had the second fewest draws. In fact,
didn't they have a season a couple of years ago where they nearly got to the?
We got to like January, didn't we? Yeah. And hadn't drawn a game. Yeah.
God, this is hard.
This is tricky.
Draws.
So you got 1.
Draws. Oh, I've got nothing. What about them? Yeah, Watford.
Watford is the best answer. It's the top answer in the words of Les Dennis. So yeah, Watford have had the fewest draws. Your others were.
Can I have? Have I done them?
3 guesses.
Okay.
You? Yeah.
I think Luton might be in there.
You would be correct. Luton are in there. Sheffield United are in there, which would be the same logic as you had with Leeds. Right. Derby and Swansea were your other team. So that's not bad, Sam. You got
2 from 3.
2 from 3. What you got for me?
You've got what I suggested. You got. Can you name the 3 of the 6 teams with the most draws?
Oh yes, season? I bet I can. Surely it's West Brom.
West Brom, 14 draws. They're top of the charts.
And I know that Burnley have had 10 0-0 draws alone.
13 draws. Yeah, just 1 fewer.
But now I'm stuck.
You got 1 from. You need 1 from 4 for
so
your.
Someone
for the
in
jackpot.
the middle of the table. Norwich tend to win or lose, though, don't they? Middlesbrough.
They're not there. That was tricky. Yeah, none of them.
Who else is in there, Sam?
So you got Preston actually on the same as Burnley, 13 draws.
When you say that, it's blindingly obvious because they've been on a bit of a run, haven't they?
Then you got Bristol City with 12, and then QPR and Stoke with 11 apiece.
Damn. Never mind. Let us know how you did in the quiz and let us know your thoughts on all things transfer window. We'll get back to analysing the action next week. But remember, 3-game week, midweek round. So you won't hear from Sam on analysis until Thursday. It'll only be predictions on Monday. Speaking of predictions, we will be back tomorrow as you're watching with a shortened prediction show with the FA Cup games going on. And that, of course, does mean we'll miss out the 2 games that occur in the Championship tonight. But we will be covering Leeds versus Coventry. And we will see you there for that tomorrow. Thanks, everyone, for watching.